I'm a bit stuck on something in Acts 9, verse 7, where it says, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. But Acts 22:9 says, they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. What am I missing here? One says they heard a voice, and the other says they heard not the voice. So let's do this. We're going to get two passages. We're going to get Acts 9, verse 7, and then Acts 22, verse 9. So get Acts 9, verse 7, and Acts 22 and verse 9. So let's read Acts 9, verse 7, and then we'll compare it to Acts 22, verse 9. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. So it says they heard a voice. Look with me at Acts 22, verse 9. Acts chapter 22 and verse 9. And they that were with me saw indeed the light and were afraid, but they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. So Acts 9:7 says, hearing a voice. Acts 22:9 says they heard not the voice of him that spake to me. So what do you do with something like that? Well, the first thing you could do is you'd say, well, the Bible has errors, so I'm just going to throw it away. You know, the Bible has mistakes in it. It has things that just aren't true. I'm just going to say this. You can decide for yourself. You can take the viewpoint that the Bible has errors. And the Bible has things that if you want to view them as errors, you can view them as errors, but it is a decision you are making. It's just as easy to find a way to reconcile those verses. Now, if you think about Hebrews 11:6, it says, without faith it is impossible to please him. So let me ask you a question. Did God the Father know from the beginning of time, before the Word of God was written in papyrus, written down in tangible form, did God know that people would wonder about Acts 9:7 versus Acts 22, verse 9? Did God know all of the objections that man would raise against the Word of God? And of course he knew. God knows all things. He knew all of those things. So that leaves us with the following question. Well, God, if you knew people were going to complain about all these supposed contradictions, why didn't you just write something? Why didn't you write it in a different way so they couldn't complain? And the answer is this. God wrote the Scriptures with enough ambiguity to allow man to reject his word. In other words, the Word of God tries men's hearts. And people that want to find reasons to disbelieve it, you can find reasons if you want. But also, if you want to give God the benefit of the doubt and believe His Word, that is a logical choice, and that is, in fact, the choice of faith. In other words, what I'm saying is this. God left sufficient ambiguity so that a man could feel self-justified and confident in rejecting the Word of God because it has mistakes. But let me give you the viewpoint of faith, and that's this. God spoke this entire universe into existence. It didn't exist, and He spoke it into existence. He preserved His Word. He inspired His Word. He knows exactly what He's doing. Now, you can take the viewpoint and sit in judgment upon His Word, and you can find fault with it. But just to be honest with you, that's a very foolish choice. So let's look at this and see if we can come up with a reasonable reconciliation for what's going on here. And what I'm going to suggest is the answer is as simple as this. What the two verses are saying is that the folks around Paul heard the sound of the voice, but they didn't comprehend it. In other words, they heard a sound, but they didn't really hear it in the sense of comprehending it. I'll give you a verse that I think supports that conclusion. Look with me at Revelation chapter 1 and verse 15. Revelation 1 and verse 15. And his feet like unto fine brass. This is a description of the Son of God. As if they've burned in a furnace. Notice. And his voice as the sound of many waters. What does the Lord's voice sound like? It doesn't sound like a normal human voice, does it? It sounds like the sound of many waters. Furthermore, it's not surprising that Paul's companions could not hear the voice because the Lord was speaking only to Paul. So I think what's going on in Acts 9 is simply this. God was speaking only to Paul, so no one else understood the voice. They just heard the sound. And I suspect what it sounded like is the sound of many waters.